They say you can't choose who you fall for. But what happens when the man who makes your heart race is the same one signing your paychecks? What happens when your past heartbreak stands between you and the love you never expected? This is my story. And trust me, you won't see this ending coming. Before we dive in, if you love real romance stories that feel raw, honest, and full of heart, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever caught feelings at work. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Kendra Williams, and 2 years ago I thought I had my life figured out. I was 28, working as an executive assistant at Thompson & Associates, one of the biggest luxury real estate firms in the city. The pay was good, the benefits were great, and most importantly, the job kept me busy enough to forget that my personal life was a complete disaster. See, 8 months before this story really starts, I went through the kind of heartbreak that changes you. His name was Trevor, and I thought he was the one. 3 years together, talking about marriage, planning a future. Until I found out he'd been sleeping with my best friend Nicole for 6 months. 6 months. The betrayal didn't just break my heart, it shattered my ability to trust anyone. So I did what any smart woman would do. I threw myself into my work and built walls so high that nobody could climb over them. I became invisible at that office. I did my job perfectly, kept my head down, and went home alone every single night. And I was fine with that. Or at least, that's what I told myself every morning when I looked in the mirror. Then, everything changed the day Gabriel Thompson actually saw me. Gabriel Thompson was the kind of man you read about in magazines. 36 years old, self-made billionaire, founder and CEO of the company. Tall, sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes that seemed to look right through people. He was brilliant, demanding, and completely untouchable. In the 2 years I'd worked there, he'd maybe said 10 words to me. I was just another employee, another face in the building. But on that Tuesday in September, I was proofreading a contract for a $50 million deal when I caught something. A clause that didn't match the terms we'd agreed to in the meeting. It was subtle, the kind of thing most people would miss, but it would have cost the company millions. I flagged it immediately and walked it straight to Gabriel's office, my heart pounding because I'd never actually been inside before. He looked up when I knocked, and for the first time, he really looked at me. Not past me, not through me, at me. I explained the issue, handed him the contract, and watched his expression shift from annoyed to impressed in about 30 seconds. He leaned back in his chair and said, "You just saved us a fortune. What's your name again?" I told him, Kendra Williams. He repeated it slowly like he was memorizing it. Then he smiled and I swear something shifted in the air between us. From that day forward, Gabriel started requesting me specifically for meetings. He'd ask my opinion on things, keep me late to go over proposals, and somewhere in those long nights at the office, I started noticing things I shouldn't have noticed. Like how he rolled up his sleeves when he was frustrated, how he ran his hand through his hair when he was thinking, how his entire face changed when he actually smiled instead of that professional mask he wore around everyone else. And the worst part? I could tell he was noticing me too. My best friend Rochelle called me out one night over wine. She looked at me with those knowing eyes and said, "Girl, I see how you look at him." I denied it immediately. Told her she was crazy. Told her I would never be that stupid. He was my boss. It was completely off limits. Besides, I wasn't ready to trust anyone, especially not someone like Gabriel Thompson, who probably had women throwing themselves at him every single day. But then came Miami. Gabriel needed someone to accompany him to a real estate conference, and he chose me. 3 days in Florida, separate hotel rooms, completely professional. That's what I told myself. That's what I believed. Until the second night when we ended up on his hotel balcony at midnight, both of us unable to sleep, both of us staring out at the ocean. We talked for hours. Real talk. Not about work, not about contracts or deals, but about life. He told me about the loneliness that comes with success. How everyone wants something from you. How you can be surrounded by people, and still feel completely alone. And for some reason, I felt safe enough to tell him about Trevor, about the betrayal, about how I'd stopped believing in love because it seemed like a trap designed to destroy you. Gabriel moved closer to me. I could feel the heat coming off his body, smell his cologne mixing with the salt air. He reached up and tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear, and my breath caught in my throat. He leaned in, and every cell in my body was screaming at me to close the distance between us, but I couldn't. I pulled back and whispered, "I can't do this, Mr. Thompson. I won't be that girl." The disappointment in his eyes nearly broke me, but I walked away. I went back to my room, locked the door, and cried because I wanted to kiss him so badly it physically hurt. But I was terrified. Terrified of losing my job. Terrified of being vulnerable again. Terrified that I was just another conquest for a man who could have anyone. When we got back to the office, I tried to rebuild those walls. I kept things professional, avoided being alone with him, and convinced myself I'd made the right choice. Then Trevor showed up. He came to my office building on a Thursday afternoon, holding flowers and wearing that apologetic look I'd seen 1,000 times before. He wanted me back, said he'd made a mistake, that Nicole meant nothing, that I was the love of his life. And standing there looking at him, all I felt was disgust. Disgust for him, but also for myself because I'd wasted 3 years on someone who didn't deserve 3 minutes of my time. Gabriel saw the whole thing through his office window. After Trevor left, Gabriel came down to my desk and did something I'll never forget. He didn't ask questions. He didn't pry. He just looked at me with those intense eyes and said, "Take the rest of the day off. Go home, take care of yourself, and if you need to talk, I'm here." It was the kindness in his voice that undid me, the way he cared without demanding anything in return. That's when I realized Gabriel Thompson wasn't like Trevor, not even close. But realizing it and admitting it were two different things, and the universe wasn't going to make it easy for me. Office gossip started spreading like wildfire. People noticed how much time Gabriel spent with me. They noticed how he looked at me in meetings. A woman named Vanessa, who'd been trying to get Gabriel's attention for years, started spreading rumors about favoritism and inappropriate relationships. Then came the dinner. Gabriel asked me to dinner under the guise of discussing a new project, but we both knew it wasn't about work. We went to this quiet Italian restaurant where nobody from the office would see us, and over pasta and wine everything came pouring out. He told me he'd been trying to fight his feelings for months, that he knew the complications, knew the risks, but he couldn't stop thinking about me. He said, "I know this is complicated, but I can't stop thinking about you, Kendra. And I think you feel the same way." I wanted to lie. I wanted to protect myself, but I was so tired of running, so tired of being afraid. So I told him the truth. Yes, I felt the same way. Yes, I'd been thinking about him too. Yes, I was terrified because the last time I let someone in, they destroyed me. Gabriel reached across the table and took my hand. He said, "I'm not him. I won't hurt you. Just give me a chance to prove it." 3 weeks later, we shared our first kiss in the parking garage, after working late. It was past midnight. The building was empty. And when his lips touched mine, everything else disappeared. The fear, the doubt, the heartbreak from my past. All of it vanished in that moment. We started a secret relationship, stealing moments whenever we could. Lunch dates where we pretended to discuss work. Text messages that made me smile at my desk. Quick kisses in empty hallways. For the first time in 8 months, I felt alive again. Gabriel was patient with me. When I panicked and tried to pull away, he gave me space but never let go. When my insecurities whispered that I wasn't good enough for someone like him, he showed me in 100 small ways that I was. He was nothing like Trevor. He was steady, consistent, and real. I was falling in love with him, and that terrified me more than anything. Then everything fell apart. There was a board meeting where some members questioned Gabriel's recent decisions. Vanessa, bitter and jealous, leaked our relationship to the board of directors. Suddenly, everything we'd been hiding was out in the open. Gabriel was called into an emergency meeting, and I sat at my desk feeling like my entire world was crumbling. When he came out, his face was stone. The board had given him an ultimatum: end the relationship, or I had to resign. They claimed it was about company policy and avoiding conflicts of interest, but we both knew it was about power and control. Gabriel was furious. He wanted to fight it, wanted to find another way. But I knew what I had to do. That night, I went to his apartment and told him I was resigning. He grabbed my hands and begged me not to. Told me he'd figure something out, that we could beat this together. But I couldn't let him lose everything he'd built because of me. I couldn't be the reason his company fell apart. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I ended it. I told him I couldn't do this anymore, that it was too complicated, that maybe we'd made a mistake. The look in his eyes when I said those words will haunt me forever. I walked out of his apartment, submitted my resignation the next morning, and felt my heart break for the second time in a year. 2 months passed. I got a job at a smaller firm with half the pay and none of the excitement. I went through the motions every day, telling myself I'd done the right thing, that protecting Gabriel's career was worth my own pain. But I was miserable. More miserable than I'd been after Trevor, because this time I hadn't been betrayed. I'd walked away from real love because I was too afraid to fight for it. Rochelle finally had enough of watching me suffer. She showed up at my apartment with takeout and tough love. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're running again, just like you did after Trevor. Except this time, you're not running from heartbreak. You're running from love. Real love. The kind that's worth fighting for. So what are you going to do about it?" Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, because she was right. I'd spent so long protecting myself that I'd forgotten how to be brave. I'd let fear make all my decisions, and in trying to save Gabriel, I'd lost him anyway. That night, I finally admitted the truth to myself. I loved Gabriel Thompson, not because he was successful or powerful or attractive, but because he saw me, the real me, and he loved what he saw. But I didn't know if it was too late. Then, on a rainy Saturday evening, there was a knock at my door. I opened it, and there he was. Gabriel Thompson, soaking wet, looking at me like I was the only thing that mattered in the entire world. He said, "I've spent 2 months trying to respect your decision, 2 months trying to move on. But I can't, Kendra. I won't." He told me he'd restructured his company, created new policies about workplace relationships, brought in an external HR firm to audit everything. He said if the board still had a problem, he'd step down as CEO because nothing was worth losing me. He'd choose me over everything. I started crying and he stepped inside, cupping my face in his hands. I whispered, "I love you. I was just too afraid to believe I deserved this." And he kissed me like he'd been waiting his whole life to hear those words. It took time, but we found our way back. The HR audit cleared us of any wrongdoing, and Gabriel's new policies made the company better for everyone. I went back to Thompson & Associates, but this time as Director of Operations. We stopped hiding. We built a life together. A real one. That was a year ago. Last month, Gabriel got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. I said yes without hesitation because I finally understood something crucial. Love isn't about being perfect or never getting hurt. It's about finding someone who sees all your broken pieces and loves you anyway. It's about being brave enough to fight for something real, even when the world tells you it's complicated. I went from hiding behind my office desk, from heartbreak that nearly destroyed me, to love I never thought I deserved. And it all started the day I let my walls come down. So that's my story. From heartbreak to hiding behind my desk, to finding love I never thought I deserved. If this story touched you, please leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear that love can find you even when you're not looking. Tell me in the comments, do you believe in second chances at love? And hey, if you want more real romance stories like this, subscribe because I've got more to share. Thank you for listening to my heart. Until next time, remember, you deserve a love that chooses you every single day.